So I was fortunate enough to meet André Aciman a couple of months ago, and he was talking to me about Call Me By Your Name and the limitations and the ambiguities and the falling off points when he came to sort of telling his story through his characters. And I wondered, following on from Bryony's question a bit, is that something that you spoke to him about? Did you have hard limits about what you could do and how you could tell the story through your characters on screen, or points of ambiguity or falling off points that you discussed with André?
I met André a year and a half before with James. That was when James was supposed to direct the film. We had a lovely lunch. André is an exquisite person, full of beautiful tales. He speaks every languages, beautiful Italian. And he basically said, go and do your movie. Okay, what can I tell you? He didn't say anything. He didn't ask for anything. We didn't spoke about it at all. Then, when we were shooting, he promised to come on set. And he came with his wife, Susan, and we just gave him a suit, and he went on being on film, because he's one of the two friends who come to visit them. The other one is the producer, Peter Spears. That's my most in-depth conversation I had with him on the characters. Like, you should drink the champagne like that. I think there was the gentlewoman with the tank top over there.
Oh, okay. There and then up there.
Just wondered if you could speak on the comment that you made earlier, where you said you have to leave the door open to reality on set and the danger of not interpreting things literally, which I think is fascinating, because I think there can often be, especially if you're a young writer or director, producers can be worried unless you interpret things literally. And so when you said you must leave the door open to reality on set, what did you mean by that?
I can make one example that is related to that, for instance, like which is the scene in which, in Call Me By Your Name, Oliver and Elio speak for the first time about what's going on between the two of them in front of the monument to the fall victims of the World War the First. That scene was like 6 or 7 pages dialogue intended to highlight the back and forth between the two characters through the words. So as in terms of storytelling, it was quite precisely laid out to be a conversation piece between those two. Could have happened on a bench in like this. And yet, when we arrived there on the set, which I knew already because I had scouted, of course, but suddenly everything was brought to the 80s. So I started to see that there was a dynamic between the castle on the background, the little bar on the left side where maybe Oliver could go and buy the cigarettes, the few cars parked, the monument, the church, the bus, all these, in a way, urged the scene to change radically. And Army said, why don't we do it in one take? Which was a beautiful and was a beautiful comment. And I said, okay. So I changed the idea that was supposed to be a conversation piece into a dance. That's why my first dance scene in a movie. They dance around each other through the space, and the space is helping them to be frank and earnest to one another. So we really made this dance from this big square, because I think all the world loves lovers, and all the world loves people in love. So everything is participating to that moment with them. And then we said, okay, let's shoot. And we had no trucks because it was a tiny movie. that could carry us from this side of the square all the way here. So we had to wait from Milan to get the trucks. So we spent like 2.5 hours just waiting. So it's precious time. And yet that was fantastic. And when we put all the trucks on the floor and we could only shoot 2 or 3 times, the tension of it, the investment, the excitement from Army and Timothy was so strong that I think the scene came out because of all this reality being allowed to be.